Welcome to the Handed Down Kitchen, where we bring antique recipes out of the past and back into the kitchen. As we promised in our previous video where we made a Victorian recipe for plum jam, today we'll be showing you how to put it to good use in a recipe of the same age for this jam roly-poly pudding. And to top it off, we also made this custard using a recipe from the same cookbook, which we'll show you how to make in our next video. The recipes we've used here are from our copy of Warren's Model Cookery and Housekeeping book, which was published in 1868. So without further hesitation, let's get started. For the pudding you'll need 113 grams of plain flour, 57 grams of beef suet, 1/4 cupful of cold water, and 227 grams of jam. The first thing we're going to do is to make what's called the suet crust using everything but the jam. In a large enough bowl, rub together your suet and flour before you mix in the water to bring it all together. Now you might have noticed that we've got a lot more here than 113 grams of flour and 57 grams of suet. And that's because while the pudding recipe tells you to use 1/2 pound of suet crust, we have to use another recipe in the same book to make the suet crust. And that recipe doesn't tell you how much it will produce. After making it here, we found it yielded 2 pounds of suet crust, so later on you'll see us weighing out the amount we need just for this pudding. So with our suet crust coming together nicely, we finished it off by kneading it a little and making it into a nice ball before weighing out and rolling. We needed to use only 1/4 of what we made, but if you use the amounts of ingredients we mentioned at the beginning or written in the description box, you'll have just the right amount for one pudding. Now it's time to roll out your suet crust. This pastry doesn't stick as much as others, but you'll still want a nicely floured surface to roll out onto. And the recipe says to roll it out quite thinly, so we rolled ours into an oblong of about 1/8 of an inch in thickness. Next we're going to spread on our jam. The recipe says you can use any fruit jam at all, it's up to you, but the most popular jams to use for roly-polies in Victorian times were either raspberry, plum or strawberry. So on goes the Victorian plum jam we made last week. You'll need about 6 tablespoonfuls of it in all, making sure to leave a border around the edges. Flip the 2 long edges over the jam, this will stop it from leaking out as it cooks. And then take one of the shorter edges and start rolling it up tightly, going as slowly as you like. Like many puddings of this age, this is a boiled pudding. Take a large enough piece of clean cloth, ours was about a 16-inch square, and sprinkle it over with flour, rubbing it in a little afterwards. Put your pudding on one end of it and wrap it securely in the cloth. Then using either string or long strips of cloth as we've done, tie it up. And now it's ready to cook. You'll need a large oblong pan, anything that's suitable to use on the hob, filled with water that's at a rolling boil, and put it into boil for 2 hours. Make sure the water stays at a rolling boil and top up along the way as the water evaporates. Two hours later, your pudding should be ready. It's heavy and going to be very hot, so be careful as you take it out. Give it about 20 minutes to cool down a little before you start unwrapping it. And remember, like most boiled puddings, it's not the prettiest thing to look at until you cut in and see that lovely spiral of jam. You'll only need a small slice of this, as like a lot of old-fashioned puddings, it's just pure stodge. So cut a slice and dish it up. Jam roly-poly puddings are traditionally eaten with custard, and here's the one we made using a recipe from the same book. We'll show you how we made this later. And there it is, a Victorian jam roly-poly pudding. It's incredibly filling and satisfying, and the plum jam was definitely the right choice. Not only did it taste beautiful, but the colour is a lot more vibrant than you would have had with strawberry or raspberry jam. We hope you enjoyed this video. If so, please leave us a like, and if you'd like to see us recreate more antique recipes, be sure to subscribe to our channel. You can also find full instructions for this recipe and many more on our website, linked in the description box below.